The twisted history of Soviet America, the mob and their bedfellow the Democrat elite. The Communist Manifesto hard at work. Part 1. 1917. Watch the docuseries, The Last Tsars of Russia on Netflix. Watch The Truth About Vladimir Lenin, a century after his death, David Volodsk on YouTube. The incompetence of Tsar Nicholas II led to the Russian Revolution and the rise of Lenin. Much like Joe Biden today. The Tsar's failures to address his people's needs caused his downfall and the emergence of a new political order. Lenin's leadership was marked by atrocities against his own people, including the Red Terror, the famine of the Russian Civil War, and the repression of dissent. These actions created a one-party state that brooked no opposition and revealed the dark side of Lenin's rule. It is crucial to remember these atrocities and learn from history to prevent such abuses of power from recurring. Also during this time period in the United States. After returning from World War I, many American soldiers faced unemployment and turned to illegal activities like bootlegging and mob activities to survive. The horrors of war had hardened them, leading to a life of violence and crime. They struggled to readjust to civilian life and suffered from PTSD, lacking the support they needed. The rise of bootlegging and mob activities in the 1920s can be attributed to the disenfranchisement of these veterans. Soon after, the 1929 stock market crash triggered the Great Depression, causing widespread poverty and insecurity. Survivors became fixated on financial wealth to prevent future disasters, prioritizing money over other life aspects. Economist John Kenneth Galbraith noted the era's culture of financial speculation and greed, leading to risky investments and a get-rich-quick mentality. This obsession strained family dynamics as individuals pursued financial goals at the expense of relationships. Ethical standards eroded as people engaged in questionable activities for financial success. The crash's legacy is a cautionary tale about prioritizing material wealth over other life aspects. Watch 8-part series, AMC The Making of the Mob Chicago on YouTube. Al Capone, a notorious gangster in Chicago during Prohibition, gained attention for his violent and flamboyant persona. His ostentatious behavior attracted law enforcement and rival gangs, leading to his downfall. In contrast, Capone's successor, Tony Accardo, adopted a low-key and business-oriented approach, focusing on making money and avoiding unnecessary attention. Accardo understood that success in organized crime required discretion and strategic thinking, not flashy displays of power. By keeping a low profile and avoiding conflicts, Accardo maintained leadership of the Chicago outfit for over 2 decades. While Capone's approach led to his downfall, Accardo's measured strategy brought him long-term success in the criminal underworld. Tony Accardo, a powerful figure in the Chicago outfit, played a crucial role in the underworld's influence in Las Vegas, New York, Atlantic City, and Hollywood. Accardo and his associates saved Las Vegas from financial ruin by investing in and controlling casinos, transforming it into a popular tourist destination. They also assisted the New York and Atlantic City Mafia, strengthening organized crime across the country. In Hollywood, they controlled movie productions and theaters, using them for illegal activities and exerting control over the entertainment/propaganda industry. Accardo's leadership and involvement in criminal activities shaped the underworld's influence on society and culture during his time. The Chicago outfit, and Mafia in general, has historically well-known deep ties with the Democratic Party. Joseph Kennedy allegedly made deals with the Chicago outfit to secure his son John F. Kennedy's victory in the presidential election by manipulating the Illinois swing vote via the unions they controlled. Joseph was tasked in return with getting Chicago District Attorney Robert F. Kennedy to discontinue his efforts of going after the Chicago outfit. Once president, John F. Kennedy appointed his brother Robert F. Kennedy as the U.S. District Attorney General, who aggressively pursued organized crime, including the Chicago outfit, leading to tensions between the Kennedys and the Mafia. It is highly feasible that this played a role in their deaths. The connections between the Kennedys and the Mafia are well documented, making it plausible that a deal could have been made. The theory remains controversial due to the lack of concrete evidence, but it highlights the intriguing political landscape of the 1960s. Throughout the 19th century, the Mafia handled all of its problems with murder and intimidation due to lack of technological advancements in forensics and surveillance. Backing up momentarily to the 1940s Stalin era and then jumping momentarily to the 1960s U.S. hippie communist movement. Joseph Stalin, the former Soviet leader, used Socialist Communist Party cells to spread socialist and communist ideologies globally, aiming to create a global network of Soviet supporters aligned with Marxism-Leninism. These cells infiltrated key institutions in other countries to influence policies and decisions. Stalin's efforts were evident in Eastern Europe after World War II, where Soviet-backed communist parties gained control and established communist regimes. Despite controversies and resistance, Stalin's strategy successfully established a worldwide network of communist supporters. Watch the feature film Oppenheimer. One example, J. Robert Oppenheimer, an American-born scientist, was known as the father of the atomic bomb. Faced scrutiny during the Cold War due to his past associations during World War II with socialist and communist individuals who were a part of these cells out in the open within our own borders. While the world was fighting German fascism, socialism was creeping in under our republic's radar. The hippie movement of the 1960s and 1970s was a countercultural phenomenon that rejected traditional societal norms and embraced peace, love, and nonviolence. Many hippies were drawn to socialist and communist ideologies, seeing them as a way to create a more just and equitable society. They established communes based on cooperation, mutual aid, and shared resources, reflecting socialist principles. Hippies were also involved in political activism, protesting against the Vietnam War and advocating for civil rights and environmental protection, causes rooted in socialist and communist principles of social justice and equality. All good things, until the hippie demographic becomes a vehicle for Soviet socialism for the purposes of undermining American democracy. Jeff Krasno is an incredible human and a communist. He is the founder of the Wanderlust Festival, a festival that celebrates yoga and all things hippie. He runs a commune, in layman's terms, a village where everyone shares. A group of like-minded people who took their focus off material possessions and placed it on community. No one in America would ever be legally capable of telling Mr. Krasno that he cannot be a communist or that he cannot have a commune. This is as it should be. Having a republic supports Mr. Krasno's way of life. I would hope that Mr. Krasno would agree that anyone who would force communism on the entire country would not share in his intentions of what communism is. That the wealthy elite will be giving and sharing nothing of any significant meaning of their own. That it will not be his brand of communism they enforce. It will be the form of communism that occurs in all superpowers that have used it, a tool to seize absolute control and drive its people into poverty and submission. 1980s. Watch streaming series Narco and Narco, Mexico on Netflix. Pablo Escobar, leader of the Medellin cartel, flooded the U.S. with cocaine in the 1980s, primarily through Miami. The CIA also distributed cocaine to fund covert operations, fueling demand among celebrities and high-profile individuals. Escobar's cartel established a significant presence in the U.S., challenging traditional mafia families. Despite their illegal activities, drug cartels and the mafia exploited vulnerabilities to profit from the drug trade, leading to a dangerous and violent underworld. Escobar's influence left a lasting impact on the U.S., shaping the intricate criminal landscape and paving the way for further illicit activities. During the 1980s and 1990s, Colombia's cocaine trade thrived, with cartels like Pablo Escobar's gaining immense power and wealth. Celebrities were drawn to the allure of cocaine, using it at lavish events, and sometimes becoming involved in the drug trade. Politicians were corrupted by the cartel's money, leading to widespread corruption and the erosion of democracy. Despite efforts to combat drug trafficking, the ties between cocaine, celebrities, and politicians persisted, creating a culture of excess and corruption. The influence of drug cartels reached into every aspect of society, leaving a lasting impact. While all the wealthy and powerful are still selling, buying, and using cocaine and working with the cartel, let us usher in the 1990s. Watch the 3-part documentary, Victoria's Secret, Angels and Demons on Hulu or Disney+. Les Wexner's Victoria's Secret harassment abuse scandal. Les Wexner owns Victoria's Secret, Abercrombie and Fitch, Aeropostale, and multiple overpriced products. Les Wexner is one example of the boomer generation that created 25% annual percentage rate, APR, mall credit cards, got the country hooked on buy now pay later, and ran up everyone's debt. Les Wexner, who had Jeffrey Epstein, living in the backup mansion directly behind his mansion molesting young women. This leads us into the Clinton administration. Bill Clinton's association with convicted sex offender of underage girls, Jeffrey Epstein, who died mysteriously in jail, raised questions. Epstein specifically named Clinton in written documents stating, "Bill likes them young." The Whitewater scandal involved allegations of financial misconduct by Bill and Hillary Clinton. Bill Clinton was impeached in 1998 following the infamous Oval Office incident with Monica Lewinsky. Hillary Clinton's leaked emails revealed potential conflicts of interest within the Clinton Foundation. Paula Jones accused Bill Clinton of sexual harassment, while Vince Foster's mysterious death fueled speculation. The Clintons have been linked to several scandals, including Filegate and the Benghazi attack, raising concerns about their ethics and integrity. In the late 80s to early 90s. Watch podcast Murder, Corruption, and the Mob, How Chicago Mafia Lawyer Became an Undercover Informant on YouTube. Read or audiobook When Corruption Was King by Robert Cooley. Watch Stories to Tell, What Happened to the Chicago Mob on YouTube. Watch The Rise and Fall of 1970s Mob-Run Chicago, History Unplugged on YouTube. Robert Cooley was the primary fix-it lawyer for the Chicago outfit. He exposed the corruption within the Chicago outfit, also known as the Chicago Mafia, by becoming a government informant. Fueled by a desire to clean up his city, Cooley provided crucial information that led to the conviction of several high-ranking members of the outfit, including top mob boss Joseph Ferriola. His bravery resulted in numerous threats to his safety, but he persisted in working with law enforcement to bring justice. Cooley's actions sparked a wave of investigations and prosecutions that weakened the Chicago outfit and dealt a significant blow to organized crime in the city. Essentially, as Cooley later stated, he did not bring down the Chicago outfit. They were embedded in every layer of our political framework. The mafia was now comprised of our lawyers, politicians, etc. Also in the 1990s. While not directly related to the overall topic, it is also worthy to note the glamorization of police brutality in Hollywood productions during this era that influenced the minds of young people aspiring to become John McClane, Mike Lowry, or Officers Riggs and Murdaugh. This is all to say that the boomer generation was a very do as I say, not as I do, hypocritical generation. In Hollywood, they all repeatedly and vehemently denounce gun violence in society, but since the 90s, action stars have perpetuated the glamorization of gun violence and body counts in all their films for profit. The through line of the 90s is simple: the boomers were hypocrites. Besides political corruption with a corrupt Democratic president in office, there was also corporate greed, cocaine cartel influx, irresponsible exposure to sex, violence, and profanity in all feature films. The beginning of the death of family values and an emphasis on discipline, replaced by instant gratification. The boomers took their eyes off what mattered and placed them on get-rich-quick schemes, such as televangelism. The majority of Christian pastors of major congregations demanded that 10% of lower-middle-class families' earnings be given to the church for tithes, while the pastors were becoming overnight millionaires. Robert Tilton, Benny Hinn, Rob Thompson, the Copelands, etc. There was no corner of the boomer era that was not focused on self-serving ideals. They talked a lot, but practiced very little of what they preached. It was a generation of, what they don't know won't hurt them. And as everyone can see now, in the era of information overload, they are all being exposed as hypocrites. Every single one of them. The boomer generation pointed the finger at me when I was 18 and consistently blamed me and my generation for the softening of America. I was born in the first millennial year of 1981. It wasn't until this year, in 2024, that I realized I am just now at an age where I can truly affect national policy if I work in higher levels of government. The generation that always preached accountability was the first to not hold themselves accountable. They are masters at pointing the finger at everyone else for their failures. The irony is lost on them that they can't see how millennials and Gen Z became what they are today. The boomer generation was asleep at the wheel in both political parties. While the mafia, cartels, liberal socialist activists, and corrupt politicians deeply embedded themselves in the Democratic Party, they inevitably shared a combined goal: to undermine the republic. For the criminals, it is about making money. For the political entities, it is about socialist control, activism, and, of course, insatiable power and wealth to be maintained at the top, while the cattle below cannibalize themselves over their lies and misdirection. All of the previously mentioned elements feed off one another to make their goal a reality.